Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Petrovic.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kudla.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Novak Djokovic's visa has been revoked by the Australian government and issued with a letter saying he will be deported.
He tested positive on December 16. On the 1st of January, he'd met the requirements for quarantine-free travel. On January 4, Djokovic announced he was travelling to Australia. He was detained in Melbourne when he arrived the next day.
Players, fans and staff at the Australian Open must be fully vaccinated unless there is a genuine reason why an exemption should be granted.
If that evidence is insufficient, then he'll be on the next plane home.
Czech player Renata Vorochova. She arrived last month and played a warm-up tournament before her visa was cancelled.
We are not angry with the people of Australia. We are actually angry with their politicians.
They are keeping him as a prisoner. It's just not fair. It's not human.
People have been upset about the fact that Novak has come in because of his statements over the past couple of years around vaccination.
He knew the conditions since a lot of months ago.
So whether someone wants to get a vaccine or not, that's completely up to them.
Me that wasn't vaccinated, I wouldn't be getting an exemption.
There should be no special rules for Novak Djokovic at all.
Oh, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we are. It's Djokovic versus the immigration this time, and it is part 2. Some are calling it the 4th set of this Djokovic saga, and we are here for it. Hope you guys in the live chat are okay. How are you doing, JG? Are you ready for this one?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel prepared. We've obviously done a trial prior to this one, so I know what to expect. I know I'm not going to be understanding a lot of the legal jargon. I've got some lawyers on hand. I've got a nice glass of water here. I've already had some sleep in preparation. Wow. So I couldn't be readier for this trial, if I'm honest. And there's so much talk. Are we going to come to a decision today? John seems to think we're not going to. But ultimately, I want this thing over with. I want to find out one way or another, are we going to be seeing Novak Djokovic at the Australian Open? I've had a good review of all of the documents. There's been some really cool articles posted in The Age, which has been sort of the place to go for all of the updates with Novak Djokovic. Yeah. And it seems to me that they're not questioning the exemption at all. So the big talking point is they're not going to be questioning or examining the exemption. They're happy with the exemption, that it is valid. And really, they're going to be going into other things I'll let you talk about.
Yes, it's going to be very exciting. We're going to be delving into this. There's just all of this other stuff which they're going to be bringing up, like JG has just been alluding to. It's more going to be, for me, it just seems like it's more like a human rights thing that's going on in Australia right now. And it's more about the sort of the unvaxxed people and the message that's being put out there that is going to possibly stop people who aren't vaccinated, who might have been thinking about getting vaccinated. This might tilt it in the favor of them not going to get it if Djokovic was to stay. And this could open up the whole can of worms for other people going into other... I mean, it could be a whole more global thing, this. I mean, it's not just Australia that this would be affecting, because ultimately, this is about unvaxxed people going in across borders. This could affect other countries as well.
Yeah, so the big thing is on health grounds. They are unsure that Djokovic should be allowed in, which scientifically, there's a few holes in this. So I'm not sure if coming into this that Djokovic is going to lose again. There's a good chance he could win 2 cases back-to-back in Australia. Let's be honest, because if you're thinking about the science, him already having COVID, is he really a risk to the Australian people? I think what they're going to try and get him on is the fact that he is a high-profile, unvaxxed individual with apparent disregard for COVID rules like isolation. That's a quote from The Age. Paul Sakal tweeted, and that's the sort of angle they're going to try and come at us with, I think.
Yes, I think you're right. I know that obviously we've been covering all of this stuff all the way through the week. We've been covering it with obviously somebody else as well. We've got him waiting in the wings, and he's going to come in and give his 2 cents on the matter as well. It is a Deutsche Welle journalist. That is John Silk. Do you want to let John into the stream?
Yeah, I just want to add to his intro a little bit, Ben. He's not just Deutsche Welle. He is a GTL legend as well. He's got his own emojis. If you want to press the John Silk emoji, make sure to join the membership, and you can have Ben emojis, JG emojis, and even this man here, Jonathan Silk.
There he is.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, however you are, and whatever you're doing. Good news, bad news, I don't know how to present it, but I think if I heard, I was trying to listen to you and the judge at the same time, but I think the judge has said that the decision will be tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, that's nothing wrong with that. If we get somewhere in this, but surely they're going to be working towards something, and this is what we're going to see. Well, we hope so anyway. I know that you were sort of alluding to maybe 30% of it might be sorted today, maybe 70%. Yeah, maybe 70. I think you pinged it over to me. I think it was maybe Troy Leach had pinged something over to you.
Yeah.
So, a reputable source. So, we have to sort of take every comment as it comes, really, because some of these people know a lot more than what we do on this matter. And well, it's the first for us. This is our second Game to Love trial. So, and I didn't learn that much in legal speak on the first one, but after reading a few things after it, I think I picked up a few more ideas of what was going on, and hopefully we can give you our thoughts of what's going on from the courtroom. It is on at the moment, so we will be there. We might be dipping in and out of the stream just so that we can maybe bring you some thoughts for some lawyers and things like that. And we will be updating you from Twitter and giving you all of their thoughts as well.
Yeah. As and when. We're going to be more organised than last time for sure. Shout out to some of the new members we've just received. I think there's just one in the chat right now. We've got Hassan here, Baxmati. We will be giving shout outs to all of the new members and reading off their tweets because they appear different in the chat. We've got Nicola here saying Hawkeye will decide if Novak's in or out. I like that one. That's a really good one. Cheers for that, Nicola. And what's the feeling, you guys? Initial feeling before we've heard anything? I want to get it right at the start of this video. Are you sort of edging towards Hawke in or Hawke out?
I'm edging towards Djokovic taking the court on Monday, but just because I mean, actually, I think this exemption admission is something, and this whole point of trying to make a point of Djokovic and trying to win political points, and I don't know. I see it as though we're moving away from the facts and moving more into emotions here, and I'm not sure if that's the court's field in a way. So we'll see. Listen, I have no clue, but I'm just going to stick with what I've said most of the week, which is I think Djokovic is going to play the Australian Open.
Well, we're going to have sort of different opinions. I think my one, I said on the last one, I thought that it was going to be curtains for him because I thought they're bolstering the case. It looked like they were. Now, with this sudden admission that, Djokovic, his medical exemption was fine. So there's this part of me that I'm sort of torn a bit more now. That statement I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting this admission. Djokovic has done everything right, sort of now from the people who are supposed to be against him in this whole thing. So there's part of me that thinks now I'm sort of. I was 75-25. Now I've moved back to about. Now I think I'm about 55 Djokovic, 45 to the government now.
Listen, we spend too long together, Ben, because I'm on the exact same page as you. I feel like everything I've read, especially that Age article, maybe we'll start with that. I know you've got it on the screen, is sort of indicating that Djokovic has some really good grounds here. Let's be honest. They're not questioning his exemption. They're happy with that. That's for me where the big question marks are. I'm not sure if I believe that he had COVID. If they're okay with that and they're not going to be able to argue it and dispute it in court, And their real only thing they're going to be talking about is, here we go, the full details of the case against Djokovic. He's a high-profile, unvaxxed individual with an apparent disregard for COVID-19 rules like isolation. He could raise anti-vax sentiment. No mention of what's been the key issue to date, his medical exemption. On that basis, I think Djokovic really has a good case. Yeah. And the reason I say that, it seems to me they're going against him and they want him deported purely for the fact that he is who he is. And it's more on his character and the fact that he's unvaccinated than anything else. And I don't think that is really good grounds. It seems to me it's a political play at this point. I know we've been talking about it for every single Djokovic podcast and update, but it's more than ever. Right now, they're using Novak Djokovic as a political tool in an election year to gain extra points.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
I see it similarly. I do see it similarly to JG, and I do think that this article and these points raised here, give Djokovic more of a chance in a way that they really are going down this route rather than. But listen, I mean, they must know what they're doing. But yeah, the way I see it is, I just think the last few hours, even I'm now starting to think, not with conviction, because you just never know how they're going to go, but I'm starting to think more that Djokovic is going to play, but that may change in the next 24 hours. Who knows?
Yeah, but they seem this is the tough thing though now, is because we now know it's nothing to do with the medical exemption, and now it's just a sort of, it's one person's character versus the other. Which person's character is going to be brought into question here? Because in one way, if Alex Hawke, he chooses Djokovic's character to be brought into question, then his character gets brought into question at the same time, because you're making decisions based upon something which is not what we've been talking about the whole time. Like this, we've been talking about medical exemptions since the start, and now we've sort of just gone, oh, well, we'll just put that to one side now. Now it's just about you. It's just about you. And right now, you're the most powerful tennis player in the world, and I've got the power to send you home. And if I send you home, I look very, very powerful, and a whole nation would probably, well, I'm sure they're probably about 70% or something like that. I don't think it would be as big as 90% of Australians would be unhappy with Djokovic. I think there'd probably be about 70% of them would be like, yeah, well done, something like that. But I just think it's not the right angle to be taking right now. They really need to be careful, because they're going to make themselves look, I don't know, it's, what's it, like a lot of people are saying witch hunt. I think it's sort of coming up a little bit like that. I can see why people are saying it now. We've been trying to take a balanced view throughout this whole hearing and the whole thing, trying to see both sides. Now they're painting the picture that everybody was sort of saying, and the whole politics is starting to come in.
Yeah, I think let's get straight to business. Obviously, it is underway right now in court. We're unable to show it this time, but we're going to take you through every single update as it happens. I've just sent Ben a tweet with all of the latest, and I'm going to read it out and keep you all in the loop. If you haven't already, guys, please hit the like button on the video. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithms. We're going to be here up all night going through it. So if the least you can do, if you really want to help Game to Love, like the video and subscribe if you're new. The person in question, Karen Sweeney, she's brilliant, isn't she, John? I know we were talking about her big time last time, and she keeps us up to date with everything. And this is what she's saying: new day, new judge, new Fred. Justice David O'Callaghan is going to be the new judge, and is about to hold a procedural hearing in the federal court over Novak Djokovic visa cancellation and deportation. It starts at 10:15 a.m. And of course, it has started right now. This is a different court to the court before. For those who don't know, I've done a bit of legal research prior to this one, and I can confirm this one. So prior, it was the Federal Circuit Court. Let me just get this right. I believe it was the Federal Circuit. No, sorry. Let me just get this up. So before, it was the Federal Circuit and Family Court of Australia, and today is simply the Federal Court of Australia. They sound very similar, but they are different. I don't want to go into all of the ins and outs, but maybe as the stream goes on, I can explain. Moving down on this tweet.
Moving down. Apologies. I'll move down. Here we go.
So we've got here. So to answer some questions today is purely a procedural hearing ahead of tomorrow's final hearing. I'm expecting Justice O'Callaghan will confirm the transfer of the case to the federal court and some of the orders made last night around deadlines for filing documents. So this is just the initial one. I know John touched on it at the start, and we're going to be expecting more. I don't know if John wants to elaborate on that.
Yeah, no, I think all the main decision will be tomorrow, and that's been confirmed by 2 or 3 other people now on Twitter. Yeah. I don't really know what else I can add. By the way, right now they've adjourned once again.
They have adjourned.
They came back for a little while and they've adjourned once more.
Well, they've ended the live stream on the other channel.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
So that's a bit of a strange one. Maybe it'll pop back up live again as soon as they seem to just go on and off the moment. Not sure that they haven't got a back soon screen.
Right, I know. That's actually.
So,
yeah, look, I do think we're done for the day.
Surely not.
I do think so.
We've still got loads to discuss of what's happened so far. So moving down, Ben, I don't know if I want to just keep going through it because there's loads to this thread.
Sure. I mean, I'll keep going down. Is this all the...
I'm not sure if we're in the right thread then. I've got it here. So to answer we've read that one. So Judge Kelly ordered last night that Djokovic be with his lawyers from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. today while they'll file submissions. So I expect he'll be watching this hearing with them or nearby. There'll also be 2 border force officers on the same floor so that he's technically in detention.
Wow. It's not good for him, is it, right now?
Yeah, I don't know if you can feel free to jump in at any time. I'm just going to keep reading them. So today's reporting is brought to you by a lovely long walk with my dog. I might dive back into the hot cross buns later, though. So this is Karen just taking us through it. So she's saying we're underway. While Judge O'Callaghan's sitting in court in person, everyone else is online from a remote location, and he's made the formal order confirming that can happen. He's also reminding everyone it's illegal to record or screenshot the hearing. Of course, that's why we're not doing it. Prior, it wasn't made aware, so we were able to, but now we're not allowed to have it in the chat here. He says the purpose of the hearing is to deal with confirming Judge Kelly's order, transferring the case from a federal circuit court to the higher federal court. Secondly, is to deal with the procedural issues.
Okay.
Keep going. Anyone want to say anything?
No, it sounds quite interesting. Go for it, man.
Thirdly, he says the Chief Justice has asked him to find out from them if they think the proper jurisdiction is a single judge or a full court. Justice O'Callaghan says a full bench could be convened tomorrow. We've got Paul Holderson, QC, speaking for Novak Djokovic today. He's appearing with Nick Wood, SC again. Obviously, we had Nick Wood on the last one, and one of Djokovic's lawyers. He says he would like a few minutes to consider a full court decision.
Okay. Interesting.
He says the other procedural matters are confirming Djokovic application be filed and served by midday tomorrow and the government's response by 10 p.m. There's also to be a decision on time limits for the hearing. Yesterday, 60 minutes was suggested. So it seems to be they are trying to push this on a lot faster than last time. They want it more streamlined.
Yeah.
The Australian Open's happening and coming very soon. So they're ultimately trying to get to a decision a lot quicker.
Good. I mean, if only they'd have had this sort of urgency at the early stages of this, we might not find ourselves now only 2 days away from the Australian Open kicking off and not knowing if the world number one is going to be even stepping onto the court. I think it could have been dealt with a lot better, a lot quicker if they'd have just been a little bit more clinical with the way that they were doing this whole thing. But it's been drawn out, maybe on purpose. Maybe they've drawn it out, like I think John alluded to. Maybe they wanted it to get as close to the start of it to make it as uncomfortable as possible for Novak Djokovic.
Yeah.
Sort of like a power move in a way from the government, just to say, if you are going to play in the end, you're not going to play very well because we're going to lock you up for a weekend and you won't even be able to train. So,
not fair, is it?
No, it's
moving
not
on.
fair.
Mr. Holdenson said there's an affidavit in support of the application being prepared. Ordinarily, that wouldn't be made public, wouldn't made public available until it's been read by the court, essentially not before tomorrow's hearing, but he's not opposed to it being made public today. Djokovic's lawyers are keen for a full court. Halderson, I think 3 judges is appropriate. That matter can be dealt with in our submission by a full court. So they're making some demands here.
3 judges as well. This is gone to the big leagues now, not just the one. Who are the other ones? I'd be interested to know. I'm sure these are top notch as well.
Ben, something you were touching on earlier. I did see a poll in Australia that this is amongst Australians, I think, across the country, that 83% yesterday, at least, would prefer Djokovic to go home.
Oh wow! So they did do a poll.
Yeah,
I said 70, but
I don't know if that's 83% of spitting feathers, really furious, angry Australians, or quite possibly is 83% of people stopped on the street. Do you think he should go home or not? And they go, yeah, send him home.
Well, Family Fortunes. We asked 100 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Novak Djokovic should go home. Survey says. Bing.
Well, funny you talk about polls, because we did our own poll on Game to Love. You can still vote if you haven't already. And the question we posed was, will Djokovic play the Australian Open? We've had well over 6,000 votes. So thanks for everyone who has voted. And the outcome of that, I'm going to end it now, is 69% say yes and 31% say no. So the majority, 70% almost, believe that Djokovic is still going to play the Australian Open.
Wow, that's really impressive. I mean, the one thing that is learned through all of this, if we didn't already know it, is that Djokovic possibly has the most loyal fan base, I think, in nearly all of sports. I think if you're a single sport, I think there's people that follow people in sport, like if you got fighting and they're singular, sporting people. I think Djokovic, I don't know if I've seen such a devout following for one person. It's quite incredible, really, when you think how much of an influence he has over such a large population.
I've never seen it in tennis before. I do think that probably social media has added to this kind of thing, but I've never seen some people so devoted to one player. I mean, you all had your favorites, whether that be Boris Becker or Pete Sampras or Steffi Graf or Martina Navratilova, but I've never quite seen. And actually, it's not just Djokovic. I think even Nadal and Federer fans are getting more and more invested in their player, and it has become a bit more like football or other sports, even team sports or country sports, if you like, where there is a bit of a division there, and your man or woman can do no wrong.
It is very tribal. I think that's the word you're looking for. Everyone has their favourite and they defend them blindly, it seems. And it's been more evident than ever during this case. Just moving on, and then I'll finish what Karen's been saying. So, because she was obviously, this is sort of a pretty, I don't know, not a full transcript, but it's all the main points which was covered. We've got Stephen Lloyd there saying, says the government is opposed to a full court referral and there's no justification for it. In the normal case, any party has a right for appeal. Having the matter referred to a full court would remove any party's right to appeal. So just sort of going through this quickly here. So just quickly, the decision of a single judge in the federal court can be appealed to a full bench of 3 judges. I think we've spoke about this. Justice O'Callaghan says the parties will be notified later this morning whether it will be 1 judge or 3. So we've got to wait to find out that. We don't know. And he's confirming the schedule now. The hearing will begin 9:30 AEDT time tomorrow, Sunday, the 16th of January. And Mr. Lloyd says the immigration minister wants a live transcript of the hearing. That needs to be ordered. He said, if that's what you want and the court needs to order it, we shall, Justice O'Callaghan. So he agrees to that. There will be a full transcript sent to the immigration minister. And just the last one here, I'll have my associate liaise with the parties on the question of whether the proceeding will be heard by a single judge or the full court during the course of this morning. Justice O'Callaghan says, ending the hearing. And the hearing was ended just like that.
Wow.
I think, I don't know if you've got Sky News there, but I'm just reading here. So the visa hearing for Novak Djokovic is set now for 9:30 a.m. Sunday. If you're in Europe, UK time, that will be 10:30 p.m. Saturday. So at 10:30 UK time Saturday, we'll have the sort of decision regarding Djokovic's visa. This is just like an introductory kind of. I don't really have to explain it, John, but just like just getting the terms together for it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, to try to sort of set out a timetable, I guess. What I believe as well is that Djokovic is obviously going to be with his legal team today for a couple of hours, but then I believe he's still going to be sort of detained, if you like, as in I think you'll probably have border force officials outside his apartment, but he won't be going back to the is it called Park Hotel, I think, where he was before.
Hotel.
I think he's going to be at his own accommodation, albeit he's not going to be able to wander around Melbourne freely or even go off to practice. He may well not get any practice in before Monday. He may get, if he gets lucky and he gets the things go his way tomorrow in super quick time, then maybe tomorrow afternoon or evening he can get some practice hours on before taking the court on Monday, as in the tennis court, if he wins.
Yeah, we've got this here. The only big and fascinating question from this morning: will it be a full bench, 3 judges, or just O'Callaghan?
Who says that?
I'm just reading online now.
All right. Well, they said 3 judges, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. Maybe Claire.
From what we've heard, I think this is an old tweet because we do know it is going to be 3 judges, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. If it's just an old one, yeah, they did say 3 judges.
Yeah.
I'm sure Karen will update us as soon as she knows as well. Always good to hear her wise words.
I'm sure the judge is also thinking that, you know, he's obviously entered the challenge that we have, the challenge for the predictions, and he wants to get it cleared up and done as soon as he can so we can get his predictions in to see if Djokovic is in or not. You know, the tennis challenge draw.
What does he want to get in for the actual to get his draw preview predictions?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the judge is probably not best if he has too much of a vested interest in tennis, I think, in this case. Hopefully he doesn't have any, and he's more of a footy fan or something. I think that's probably a bit fairer.
Yeah, we've got Troy here saying, no, guys, judge will rule on the 3 judges next few hours.
Okay.
There you go. Do you want to go through some of those other tweets that you sent me through originally? This one, there we go. There you go. So this one was just regarding...
So they haven't decided 3 judges or 1, I'm hearing. Sorry, I'm a bit confused now.
Well, no, they haven't, I don't think.
No.
I thought they had, but anyway. Well, we'll wait and see. We'll update you as soon as we know if it's 3 or 1. Which benefits him more, 3 or 1? I don't know either. This is what I mean. As far as I'm concerned, I think maybe 3 would be better. Then you get, I don't know. Do they just confer?
Go for a majority. Just go for a majority with the 3.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, does he have a better chance then?
Maybe.
Did his lawyers want 3 or not? That'll tell you. That'll tell you more.
Yeah, true. That will tell you.
If his lawyers are saying we want 3, then that'll tell you something.
Yeah, we've got Min here saying 3 judges is more final. So let's see. Shout out to KRC Gaming. He said he doesn't need practice too much. There are none who can stand in his way because the Serbian inner is very strong right now in Djokovic, and the Serbian inner is the strongest force in the universe. Of course, a massive Djokovic fan, and he's not just in the world, in the universe.
Well, yeah, he's been playing people from other realms, it sounds like, as well there. I think Kekmanovic might have something else to say about that. He's been training probably very hard with the knowledge, knowing that Djokovic can't train now. So be interesting to see if he does play, how much his Serbian teammate will go easy on him, or if he just sees this as an opportunity to beat Djokovic at a Grand Slam.
I think that you know, I know we're here talking about a million different things, but the chances of at least nicking a set off Djokovic must be slightly increased, especially like that first day. If Djokovic does play, you know, he might think, you know what, I'm going to try and win this first set and then see how we get on from there.
Yeah, just read this one here. So Hawke's argument is the public will model Djokovic's behaviour. Thoughts? I tend to think people are already setting their views regarding COVID at this point.
I know what they mean. I know what this is actually not really to do with the case as such, although that is Hawke's point. I do think that Djokovic, though, is a standard bearer, if you like, for reluctant people to get vaccinated. And I think, I've even had a Djokovic fan who was actually asking me 3 or 4 weeks ago whether they thought they should get the booster or not. Okay. And I do think that there's a tiny influence that he might. I don't think, we're going to see suddenly people changing their minds on COVID if Djokovic changes his mind about getting the vaccine. Many will see it that he's forced into a corner. But if Djokovic came out and said, I'm actually now ready to get the vaccine, I do think some people may move on that. I think that's slightly different, though, to what Hawke is saying. So therefore, I'm not quite sure if I'm completely in agreement with the big three point there. I know where they're getting at, but I do think Djokovic and the whole thing is important. And I do think his stance will reinvigorate anti-vaxxers or the other way around. And there are 1 or 2 people still sitting on the fence. So that's how I see it. But I also don't think that's necessarily a strong case for Hawke either. So it's a murky one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is. I really am not. And this is why the more I'm seeing the evidence here and what their sort of angle they're taking, the more it sort of suits Djokovic. And sorry, Ben, I don't want to go back to that.
Do you want to go back to the other one? Sorry, apologies.
Yeah. So I tend to think people are already setting their views regarding COVID at this point. I think they are, John. This is where maybe we do disagree a little bit. I'm not sure there's Australian people looking at Djokovic thinking, oh, you know what? He's not going to be vaccinated. I might not get it. They're basically all vaccinated anyway. It's well over 90%.
I'm thinking about, as I say, I'm not even thinking about this case here. I'm actually thinking about Serbians. So Serbia has a 47% vaccination rate, despite a super quick rollout at the beginning.
It shouldn't matter about Serbia, right? Should it not just
No, I know. That's what I mean. So I'm actually not talking about this case. In a way, I'm actually just looking at that second point, and I'm actually interested because I would like to see more Serbians take the vaccine, if I'm honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's move on.
Right. I thought the next one was probably a good one to move on to. Sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit. It's just sort of along the same lines. Djokovic entered with a valid medical exemption. Immigration Minister Alex Hawke has conceded as well. That one's a big word there. Conceded doesn't sound good when you have that in the title. So, bit worrying. That was the thing we were talking about at the top of the show, and that's what sort of swayed us a bit. Go on.
For me, in all of these updates we've done, the grounds of him getting the medical exemption is where I felt most passionate about. That is, I feel, the bit where you can really pinpoint and look and think, you know what, Djokovic, I don't quite believe him. I think he's lied here, and you can probably investigate that one the most. The reason they're not doing it is because I think it's difficult to prove. It's kind of their word against his, and who's to really know? Is that a genuine... did he generally have COVID? Why was he applying for a visa to Australia before he was unvaccinated, before he got COVID? There's so many questions we're never going to get answered. And ultimately, they can't answer them because there's no way to prove them. So they're just all they're going to do is say, you know what, we believe him for the medical exemption and move on from it. So in a way, I'm happy they're doing that because it's probably the most sensible thing to do. Otherwise, they're going to be going down a dark alley with no way out.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, there are millions of other questions, as you say, that might be thought about or considered in the passage of time, but they're not really relevant to this specific case. And it does seem as though the medical exemption has been thrown out. It still I think the government still have that one final. After this, they do have that final thing regarding the immigration form. But I actually always thought that was I know on the form it says you fill this out wrong and there could be mega serious consequences, or I'm paraphrasing there, but it's also up to you, I mean, people make mistakes on immigration forms all the time. I'm sure they put the wrong number or the wrong address slightly, and these things can happen, and most of the time you don't get picked up on it. But of course the government don't need any excuse to throw the book at him. But
I was going to say, mate, this time though, this is the time when you need to be super cautious of filling out forms. Surely this is like the one time where it really does matter, because I know even in the UK, if you're saying that you're coming back from a certain place, I know people who have been visited by police just to see if they're at their address where they're supposed to be, even self-isolating and stuff like that. This does happen. And if you have filled out your form correctly, they'll know where you should be at that one time. And that type of thing is on purpose.
The mistake he made was the previous 14 days before travel, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree that the paperwork is a bit ridiculous. It's always been a bit over the top. But right now, I agree with what you're saying, Ben. In this current time, you've got to just be a bit more diligent. You've got to ensure that everything is correctly filled out because everything's going to be scrutinised. He's going there on these grounds of a medical exemption. He's the only player really doing it on the ATP side, we know for sure. So on that basis, surely you'd make sure the forms are filled out correctly. So he's made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Yeah,
no doubt.
absolutely.
About
But I don't want to see him not play the Australian Open because he made a tiny mistake like that on the form.
Just want to give a shout out to Alex, who sent in a super chat there, just saying if Kekmanovic withdraws before the match, he'll be replaced by a lucky loser. For Novak to get to the second round, he will have to get out onto the court. So
okay, good point. Yeah, because we joked about him maybe withdrawing and then Djokovic getting a walkover, but that would only occur from the second round onwards, of course, because there is a lucky loser waiting in the wings.
Oh yeah, good point. I like that. We've got Igman here saying, "How do I order a coffee here? Cap no sugar, thanks." Unfortunately, we can't give you coffees on the stream, but I appreciate the super chat. If we could deliver you one, we would.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we could do one.
I know. Well, I don't think it's going to be as late as the last stream that we did, but appreciate everybody who has joined us for this. If you want your comments to show up more in the live stream on the live chat, become a member of the channel. There's a join button underneath this video, right next to the subscribe button. Hit that. It's only like $1.99 a month, and you can have special emojis, special features, premium Discord access, and we will give you more shout outs as well in the live chat. So
yeah, we've got Mickey here. I see John Silk's name. Hopefully it's good. Saying John Silk sounds bang on, like Charlie Borman. Fantastic. Novak will be flying home, in my opinion. Who's Charlie Borman? Do you guys know?
I'm not sure, but I can Google him.
It's not the guy, Charlie Borman. It's not the one who's friends with Ewan McGregor.
Presenter. He's a presenter by the looks of it.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, Charlie Borman's an English TV presenter, travel writer, and actor.
I recognise him. Yeah, I do recognise him now. The pictures come up. That's quite funny.
And he's also a motorbike enthusiast. Do you like your motorbikes, John?
My father's a huge motorbike enthusiast, but I'm not. But I think it's the guy who went with Ewan McGregor. No,
I think you might be right. I think it is
their bikes
him.
And stuff. Yeah.
Yes, it is him. Yeah, you're right.
Nice.
And anyway, that was interesting. Thanks to CR for becoming a member there. Go on, helping out the GTL. Welcome to the GTL.
Is that Cristiano Ronaldo? Or maybe he's a 7, CR7.
Yeah. CR, it's Cristiano Ronaldo light.
Yeah.
We've got Nicola here, one of our members, saying, anybody heard from Federer? He's been very quiet during all of this. We've seen Nadal speaking. Federer, just silence.
Come on, speak up, Fed. He's the big voice. What is it? I thought he was supposed to be the man of tennis, that everybody ever knew tennis. And you think tennis, you think Roger Federer. At the moment, no, you don't. Where is his voice? Come on, speak up. All I see him in at the moment is in adverts for going to Switzerland and going skiing. What's he doing? Come on, speak up. We want to know, Roger. What's your thoughts on the matter? I know, it's pretty mad, isn't it? We've not heard of him. We had Rafa. Rafa tried a balanced approach.
Are you surprised, John, we've not heard from Federer?
No, I'm not. I mean, basically, the only reason we heard from Rafa is because he's put in front of the media and Murray as well, and all these other people. I mean, if Rafa was at home nursing an injury, we wouldn't be hearing from him either, I'm pretty sure.
What do you think of Murray? I listened to Murray's, obviously, because he's in a tournament at the moment playing. He's going to be playing in the final. Actually, that's going to be televised on the BBC. Murray's first final since he played in Antwerp and won that title there on his comeback. This is fantastic. He will be playing, unfortunately for him, Aslan Karatsev, the man of Australia last year, it seemed. Can Murray do it? But what he had to say about Djokovic, I thought it was quite nice, to be honest. If you listen to the interview, very respectful. And you can tell he's actually really good friends with Novak as well. Yeah. And it comes through in his words. He said, I don't want to kick him
while he's down.
Yeah, I don't want to kick him while he's down. Like it's almost like you're trying to put words in my mouth. I just hope everything goes well for him. And he just doesn't want to get involved in a war of words. Obviously, he's probably vaccinated. he doesn't want to be there just telling Djokovic what he should be doing. He just has him as a friend, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I just hope that whatever decision it comes to tomorrow, that is it. You know, if Djokovic wins, okay, let's get on with the Australian Open and kind of put this to bed at least for a couple of weeks.
Good luck,
simple
mate.
job. We're going to
Good
court a
luck,
third time.
John Silk. John Silk, I thought that you were a wise man. Oh dear, and you've just said that. I don't think that this will be being put to bed. If he's playing, there's going to be a big uproar.
There'll be. I don't mind a few boos and stuff in the stadium. I don't mind that, and a few people trying to put him off. And I'm sure Djokovic's game, at least at the beginning of the tournament, will be a little bit affected, but that might not be enough to put him off course. But if he wins tomorrow, you know what? The Aussie government have been a shambles from start to finish. Let's get on with it. I do think that to play in this tournament, you should be vaccinated, but they should have made it clearer. As this tweet that we still got in front of us suggests, you know, the medical exemption was a medical exemption. Let's just get on with it. But I'm also fine with, you know, whatever the decision is tomorrow. Regarding Murray, by the way, I think he basically said, "Can we just move on?" You know, regarding you know the Djokovic topic. And I think somebody asked him a question, and he kind of rested his head on the microphone at that point. By the way, some unbelievable semi-finals in some of these 250s in the last 24 hours. There was an amazing tiebreak between Kokkinakis and Cilic. Where it was kind of match points galore.
I think it was 10-8 in the third in the tiebreak.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that was, and what's his name had 4 match points, Kokkinakis, but he blew them all. And then Cilic, I think, had a match point, and then Kokkinakis ended up prevailing. I wonder if getting to the final though might be one of those situations where you get to the final and then you sort of run out of steam when it comes to the main event. But we'll see.
I think we've already spoke too much tennis anyway, John. We don't do that on these sort of podcasts.
Yeah, what are you doing, John?
Just about Djokovic and nothing about tennis. I know we're GTL, the tennis podcast, but we got tennis goes out the window. When we're in the courtroom, we've got these court backgrounds. It's
CTL
just jargon.
CTL.
Talking about sections, John. If you started talking about sections, I'd have been more engaged. But I can't talk about tennis when I'm in this mindset. And we've
Section
got Troy
116.
Exactly. That's now you've got me going. We've got Troy saying, "John, here's a $5. Get a haircut."
Thanks, Troy.
Are you due one?
No, not now. I was going to do it, but I can't do it now, can I?
Fair enough. We've got Wild Fox here with a super chat saying polling company news poll interviewed 5,600 random Australian voters asking who they would like to deport more. Results were 52% Scott Morrison, 48% Novak Djokovic.
Deport Scott Morrison.
The Prime Minister.
If that's what ends up, if that's the end of this trial, that Scott Morrison gets deported, I think
Where
everybody...
are they going to send him to? Where are they going to send him to? Polynesia
maybe one of
Fiji?
those islands that they keep all of the other people who try to get into the country. Yeah. I don't know. Well,
I was going to saying GTL Silk, nice haircut. The emojis out. We've even got some Nole emojis. If you want the chance to get your own Nole emoji, make sure to join the membership. We've got some Rafa ones and Federer, and we're going to be adding more to that very soon. I don't know if you wanted to say something, Ben, because I was going to go on a different topic about tennis, which I know is banned.
I was going to say to you about, because I know that he was touching on Kokkinakis, and Kokkinakis obviously is going to be playing in the final now, in a final no one saw against Rinderknecht, which is brilliant for Rinderknecht as well. Kokkinakis, obviously, potentially Nadal's opponent, maybe in the second round. So are you happy? Going to tire himself out? Nadal just blows him off the court.
I'm very happy. Listen, Kokkinakis, run yourself into the ground. Keep playing. Go for these grueling matches. Give Nadal the best chance because he needs every little bit of
straight sets,
everything in his favour just to give him a chance here, Rafa.
It does.
Kokkinakis was in an amazing match a year ago against, was it Tsitsipas? Was it? Went to 5 sets, or was it Medvedev? Yeah.
One of the two.
Now, too long ago, John. We've got George here saying also sad news today. The Tower of Tandil, Del Potro declaring bankruptcy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What? No, surely not.
And in other times, that would be a title of a podcast, I'm sure, talking about Del Potro, one of my favourite tennis players. Unfortunately, we've never been able to cover him on Game to Love because he's not played. He's had some terrible injuries, but someone who's, I don't really get, it's one of the most popular players, really, aside from the big three, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. Like, it's not, you can't really find anybody You're right there, John. You're going to make a bit more noise.
Sorry, just having a bit. I'll get a bit of chocolate. Getting a bit of chocolate.
All right, press mute. That's it. Thanks. I was going to say there was some interesting things on here. Which was that interesting meme that you sent me through, which I thought was quite a good one. Just bear with me. I can't even find it now, mate. I don't want to click through all of them and just ruin the whole thing. Just bear with me.
That's all right. I don't know what it is right now.
Do you not? There it is. This is the new logo for Australian Open. No longer Australian Open. It is Australian closed, apparently now. Will it be reopened again for Novak Djokovic in the coming days?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I feel like whatever happens now, if whether Djokovic gets deported or he plays, the whole Australian Open, everyone will be talking about that dynamic. If Djokovic gets deported, the whole narrative's going to be, oh, if Djokovic was here, I don't think bloody blah would have got so far, or he would have beaten him, or if Djokovic was here, if he was here, it's always going to be about that. And whoever wins it's going to be like, oh, I'll probably win the one if Djokovic played. So you're never going to be able to avoid it. If Djokovic does play, every single thing's going to be like, oh, I'm not sure if Djokovic should have played. Why is he allowed to be? He's not vaccinated. You're never going to avoid it. I feel like whatever happens now, this has become the Novak Djokovic Australian Open.
It really has, I think. And I think it's a similar thing when he obviously got defaulted. Obviously, in the US Open, everybody was saying the same things then. Oh, well, if he didn't get defaulted, he would have won the whole thing. And it's just a team's got an asterisk next to that one, really. It's just the same sort of thing. It's going to be saying now that everyone's going to be saying, it is now. It's the weak Grand Slam.
I do think the team one, though, or the US Open one would be slightly different. I think given the fact that he started that tournament and he was a set down when he made that mistake, if you like, with the default, and it was an action that he was responsible for on court, and it was black and white. I get you. I think we all pretty much agree that Djokovic would have won that slam had he not made that mistake, especially how the final panned out with two very nervous finalists trying to get over the finish line. But I think you all recognize that these things happen. You know, players pull up injured. You know, you get freak results like with Rafa against Soderling in 2009. But and some people talk about Federer winning that slam, but you know he won it. You know, and he was in enough finals beforehand to suggest that he was good enough on clay to finally win it. Would he have won it if Rafa hadn't had that bad day against Soderling? Probably not. But that's tennis. That's how it goes. I do think this is a bit different though to tennis with this one, and him not being at the slam at all. There might be a few more people wanting to put an asterisk by whoever wins it.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of my favourite super chats of the night, actually, and it's from Losby saying, Aussies calling Djokovic a liar. Meanwhile, they all lied on their resume to get a job using their Uncle Jim as a reference. Let's be honest, we have in our whole lives, there's been instances where we've lied. The thing is, as much as that's quite funny, I feel like sometimes the nature of Djokovic's lies, I will not be able to accept from a moral standpoint. But in terms of this case, really, the more I'm sort of presented, the more I can't see why he should be deported, and he should probably just be allowed to play the Australian Open. Let's see what the courts say tomorrow, of course. I feel like what they're going to say tomorrow will be the final kind of verdict. Well, I'm hoping anyway.
All right, we got this other tweet up here from one you sent me earlier saying Australia cancelled Djokovic's visa because he could endanger the success of their zero COVID policy. And then they're showing this graph here.
It's the 7-day rolling average of new cases in Australia. You can see it's past sort of 100,000 now. It is spiking like crazy. Really, scientifically, is he really a threat? No, he's not. If he's just had COVID, he is going to have some sort of antibodies for the virus. He's not going to spread it. And really, he's probably safer being there than people who are double jabbed without the booster. That's my opinion anyway, from the science I've been presented.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point, JG. No one's really talking about that, though, are they? That's the thing that we're missing here in all of this. The whole thing
sometimes a bit of common sense is always got. He's always. I don't think rules ever really take into consideration common sense, unfortunately.
No, they definitely don't, especially when you've got somebody at the top who's looking to make a sort of an example of someone. Definitely common sense doesn't come into place then. What's this saying? Go on.
Well, that curve spiked since Novak entered the country. It means it's him. He's the real threat. Yeah, this is the moment right at the bottom. That's when Novak Djokovic entered.
Oh, seriously though. Seriously, is it? Should we go away to some other tweets? I'm just going to see if there's a.
Yeah, I think John sent one as well in the private chat. Maybe we'll get that up. But while you're getting up, we'll read this one. So Novak Djokovic's confirmed schedule.
Yeah.
Saturday, detention, submissions. Sunday, court hearing from 9:30 a.m. Monday, either the Australian Open first round or beginning of the deportation proceedings. What a great Monday. Everyone hates Mondays. They roll out of bed. Sunday night, you're just thinking, oh, do I have to go to work tomorrow? You're never that keen. Djokovic is going to have one of them real dodgy Monday mornings. He doesn't know whether he's going to be playing the Australian Open or on the first plane home.
Not the best start to the week, is it? I think I get annoyed enough just having to start work at 9:30 on a Monday morning. I think if I had the potential of being deported on a Monday morning, that would be gazumping that start to the week. I don't really know. I can't put it into words, really, how we must be feeling. I would love to get into Djokovic's brain right now and know exactly the thoughts, because he must be such a mix of emotions right now. I think he must be thinking this. I'd say 70% anger. I'd go with maybe 5% regret, maybe. I don't know, and there's probably like some hope in there as well. I think there must be there's a little mixture that's flowing around, because he knows he can't explode, because if you do that, no, negative character. So you've got to always keep
he can't explode in the courtroom by smashing a racket on the table.
Well, yeah, you can't lose your cool, because the second you lose your cool, then that facade of being like, oh, I'm very cool, don't worry, this is all fine, thanks for everybody to do all the nice things. You've got to remain that person at least until a certain point, until you want to speak out, because whilst it's still going on, he can't really give any thoughts of what he's thinking.
Yeah, we've got one of our members here, Troy, saying, guys, if the government lose, they'll defo appeal to a full bench. I believe that's why O'Callaghan will hear this tomorrow by himself. That would be normal procedure.
Yeah, let's see, because I think the thought from someone on Twitter was that if there were 3 on the bench, that would be whatever the decision was tomorrow would be it. Yeah. By the way, I wonder if the government will be, obviously we're talking about Djokovic's his persona as much as anything else. I wonder whether they'll be clipping up any of his clips. Like, I remember in Italy last year in Rome, where he was, I think it was in the rain, when he's shouting at the umpire. Well, I forget what he was shouting. We got to get off the court or something. You know, he's really upset with the rain coming down.
Well, yeah, he's has the odd outburst here and there. This is the one you've just sent me over, this tweet anyway.
Yeah,
saying interesting decision to be made this morning, as whether the federal court case set for 9:30 a.m. tomorrow will be heard by a single judge, wherein there is a right of appeal, or the full court no right to appeal. So that's the key thing there on this statement, is the no right to appeal. And I think this is probably the best thing. We don't want any more appeals. We don't want anything else. We don't want it to go, oh, there's another guy actually who's over there. He can actually overrule everything. And then they go, oh, well, we'll go appeal that one. And then we go, well, there's another guy who can overrule that one.
Rules
as well.
are the rules. It's going to court. Oh, no, it's not. It's gone to court, and then they've decided Djokovic wins the case. But then Alex Hawke says, no, you're still going to get your visa revoked anyway. So, yeah, I agree. I didn't know this was the case, actually. So cheers for sharing, John. And I believe that it is definitely better to have a full court, because we want this done with. We want a decision as soon as possible.
But this hasn't been decided yet. I think this is what's happening right now.
Please be a full court, please.
Yeah,
I just can't deal with it. I just can't. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I know that it's been great having everybody in and having these great live streams with everybody, and we're having a great time talking about it. But ultimately, we're here to cover tennis. We want to see some tennis. If Novak Djokovic is going to play, I want to find out now, because I want to start talking about the tournament. The tournament starts in about 2 days' time and I want to start talking about it. I can't talk about it if I don't know who's in the draw and I don't know who he's playing. And if he's out the draw, everyone moves and we don't know who's playing who. And we have to do another draw preview and we have to do everything. It's just,
McNamee, by the way, he's a former Aussie Open director or what do you call it, organizer or top dog, basically, at the Aussie Open, the tournament director. But he's been a fairly vocal supporter of Djokovic throughout this process as well.
Okay, cool. We've got another super chat here. Just talking about the antibodies. I know I spoke about that earlier. And he's saying, true for the science, you should measure antibodies and not vaccinated or not. Many people don't develop antibodies from vaccines. That's an interesting point.
That is an interesting point.
Maybe that would be the wise thing to go to eventually if they was able to do it. But I think it's a lot harder to test. Maybe I'm not sure. I
thought the idea of a vaccine was to give you the to give you a very, very minute dose of the disease, so therefore you do build up antibodies. But hey, listen, I'm not sure about. Let's not get into all the science of everything. We're legal. We're legal beagles. We're not scientists.
Not yet. We will becoming scientists soon. We're sort of that's the evolution, John. We start tennis podcast, then legal, and then scientists. I think that's the way we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing science podcast next, are we? Don't know if I can cope with that one. I'll end up talking about the universe and things like that. It's just going to start. We'll go out completely off kilter. This one was one that I sort of missed from earlier. Oh, sorry. Got this bit popping up as well. This was from Robert Kennedy. He was saying this is a clear indication Australian authorities regard this as a political matter, not public safety. Should have brought this up earlier. Apologies. PM Morrison's attempt to frame Australian citizens as the victims of Djokovic's private health decision is a naked exercise in tyrannical political power. And that was the one, I should have brought that up earlier. Apologies for that.
Yeah, very, very well worded, this one, and I couldn't agree with it more.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. We touched on it earlier. This has just put it into better words than probably what we did earlier when we were talking about the decision, all looking like it's a political power play and not so much about anything to do with medical exemption anymore. So, right. Have we got any more super chats or live chats? Because if we haven't at the moment, I want to say we'll take this moment to just talk about the giveaway that we've got going on as well, because I think we've got 2,400 people in. You might not be aware already. We have got a giveaway running right now. It is for 2 tickets at Roland Garros. Don't forget, if you're a Djokovic fan, Macron has already said, don't worry, he can play in our tournament. So if you want a chance to see Novak Djokovic playing at Roland Garros, then you need to enter our giveaway. And JG will tell you how to do so.
Yeah, just literally hit the link pinned in the live chat, and there's so many different ways you can enter. You can get multiple entries for the more things you're able to complete. And here's a short promo of everything.
This time we're bringing you a giveaway. Roland Garros 2022. We have 2 grand public tickets going on offer, and you can be part of it.
Make sure you are subscribed to Game to Love. And secondly, follow the link to find out all of the ways you can enter. They include following us on Spotify, following on Twitter, joining the Patreon. That's another one where you get a few entries.
4 days at Roland Garros. That could be the final, the semi-final, the quarter-final.
To clarify, that is 2 tickets for 4 days at Roland Garros, seeing the very best tennis talent.
Yeah, so make sure that you get your entries in by the 31st of January 2022.
And good luck. May the best man or woman win. And hopefully we get to see you out in Paris very soon.
Oh, God, if that doesn't get you going, I don't know what will. It is a very good giveaway, and it is free to enter as well. You do need to remember that. All you have to do is click on a link and just sign up to a few of our social media accounts, and you can get yourself in the draw like more than 10 times for a chance to win 2 tickets for 4 days at Roland Garros. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And that will be on Philippe Chatrier as well. Come on. That's where all the big guns will be playing.
Yeah, I'm just reading a few updates from Karen. She's put 2 more, saying, so we know from the court documents that Djokovic's lawyers were notified at 5:35 p.m. yesterday that Immigration Minister Alex Hawke had cancelled the visa, and documents including the minister's reasons and a rather large document containing submissions to the minister were emailed to Djokovic's lawyers at 6:15 p.m. So that's just a few of the timings of everything. And really, if I'm just having a little look through, I don't see much more news regarding Djokovic. I feel like everything now is on tomorrow. So maybe we can even talk about a bit of tennis now before we conclude.
Ooh, I love it. A bit of tennis. Not something we talk about that often anymore here on Game to Love, but we will be talking about it a lot coming up over this weekend. We do have had the Australian Open qualifiers. They've been taking place over the past say 3 or 4 days. They have now all been confirmed. We do have some people who've even been on the podcast. They've managed to qualify for the Australian Open. Well done to the likes of Thomas Mahak, Yannick Hanfmann in there as well. So they managed to get themselves a main draw opponent today. And we also got some GB talent going through in the women's. Harriet Dart making it through as well. So well done to her.
And Liam Brody on the men's. I saw he sort of fell to his knees and was quite emotional, sort of crying.
See Murray's tweet.
I've not seen it. I did see it, but I didn't read it because there was too much going on. But
it's funny.
What was it?
He just stitched him up. He just said, great to see Liam Brody make it to the main draw of the Australian Open. Sorry to steal your thunder, but I've overtaken you in the live rankings today.
Yeah.
Go on, Andy. They have a lot of banter though. The British team. So well done.
And on the qualifiers, me and Ben will be doing a podcast tomorrow, giving our top 3 qualifiers to watch on the men's and women's side. We've both done it independently, so we don't know who each other have got. So make sure you join us on tomorrow's podcast to find out.
And there's no Raducanu you can.
No, listen. Last year we had, obviously for the US Open, the women's, we had Raducanu. We're not going to be able to have it this time.
Yeah,
no, we're really not. Don't forget, there are 4 finals that are taking place if you're in the UK, it's going to be early morning tomorrow, and they're starting off in Adelaide, and then they're moving over to Sydney for all of those finals of the men's and women's. We've got I'll start in Adelaide. We've got Rinderknecht versus Kokkinakis. We've got Risk versus Keys on the women's side, and on the men on Sydney side, we've got Karatsev versus Andy Murray. That'll be live on the BBC. So if you are in the UK, tune into that one.
Is it 8 a.m. then?
Yeah, I can do a watch along. Who knows?
I was thinking this one is ending soon, so maybe we could do a watch along for Andy Murray, Aslan Karatsev. I know it's an early one, but it's going to be live on the BBC for those in the UK.
I like it.
Aslan Karatsev, someone we've had on the podcast. Andy Murray doesn't need an introduction. I don't think so.
Don't think so. But there is one other match as well, and it's the women's in Sydney. Krejcikova versus Badoza. What a final that's going to be. Really looking forward to that one too. So
that could be an Aussie Open final. Could be.
Well, they're in the same section for a quarterfinal.
Oh, are they?
So
okay.
yeah, that could be a potential quarterfinal, I think, for the Australian Open. If my brain is remembering correctly, it's either 4th round or quarterfinal, but they're in the same section. I know that much.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I know John there shared a funny tweet from Kontaveit. Do you want to talk about that, John?
Yeah, well, it's just nice that Kontaveit and Ons Jabeur are tweeting that. And to be honest with you, the biggest take I take from that tweet, other than the fact that they're just fooling around with each other, is the fact that Ons Jabeur looks like she's in good spirits, which is obviously quite important. She's pulled out of a tournament this week with a back injury, didn't she? I think she lost in the 3rd set, or she pulled up short in the 3rd set. And there has been some concern. Somebody with like 150 followers tweeted Ons Jabeur this week saying, "I hope you're going to be okay for next week." And she responded to that tweet by saying, "Yeah, I'm optimistic, or I'm hopeful that I'll be okay, but let's see, you know." So I know you guys are quite big fans of Ons Jabeur, so fingers crossed she makes it for next week. Okay.
Yeah, and some good Photoshop skills as well. Right? Did she not Photoshop that?
I thought that was real. I thought that was
Oh, is that the actual I thought it was the other way. Oh, so they've just done another one. Okay.
Yeah, they did another one.
I thought, yeah, because I saw the other way round the last time. I wasn't sure if they'd photoshopped. I only had an initial look.
No, they just
Photoshop of each other's face. They've just recreated it again.
Yeah, they recreated it. Remember, they showed them side by side when we did it on the last pod. But yeah, it's very funny that they keep on doing it. I'm hoping to see it the other way round at some point, just to see if Jabeur gets ahead of her or gets the better of Kontaveit at some point. That would be nice to see. At least they can have a little more of an even rivalry. At the moment, Kontaveit seems to be the one who's stealing the headlines between the two of them.
Yeah,
I think
George,
what you do.
One of our patrons asking, do we have a button for Kontaveit yet?
Of course we do. Of course we have one. Yeah, they're two good buttons. Yeah, it's a net Kontaveit.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, it is a good button.
It's a bit of a funky one.
I think what we see in these few days leading up to the Aussie Open, I think you've got a couple of things that happen. First of all, people take extreme caution with the slightest twinge. They're quite happy to pull out of a 250 the week before the Aussie Open. I even think, for example, Osaka, she pulled out of a tournament, I think, at the quarterfinal stage. I'm not sure if it's this week or the week before, but that kind of makes sense to me. In fact, I think the ideal build-up to any tournament is to probably play until the Tuesday or the Wednesday the week before. In a way, I think you can lose a bit of momentum if you stop 10 days before or 8 days before, 9 days before. Whereas actually, I think if you can keep going for a few more days, that was the whole thing with Federer last year. Of course, he ended up pulling up lame, but I think that's. But you don't want to disrespect the tournament by pulling out of all these tournaments at the quarterfinal stage just before a slam. But I'm optimistic that Jean-Ons Jabeur will start the tournament and hopefully we see her have a good one.
Yeah, I'm just reading now. Djokovic has been taken into custody by the Australian police ahead of his court appeal tomorrow. Australia is leaving no stone unturned to humiliate itself in front of the world. This is from Dr. Ellie David.
Ooh, interesting.
And I think on that note as well, we're probably going to wrap it up. Let's have an earlier night. We've got a busy one tomorrow. Hopefully we can cover Aslan Karatsev, Andy Murray as well in the morning. Just going to give a big shout out to John for joining us. Appreciate coming on again. And thank you so much for everyone who joined us. If you haven't already, please hit the like button on this video. Subscribe if you're new. And we'll be bringing you every update as it happens for Novak Djokovic. And of course, the Australian Open, which is just around the corner. We're in the matter of hours now until we get the Australian Open. What's it, like another 48 hours or so?
Yeah, 48 hours, pretty much spot on.
Yep.
Perfect. Can't wait for it. Yep. Hit the like, subscribe, and see you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Novak Djokovic's visa has been revoked by the Australian government and issued with a letter saying he will be deported.
He tested positive on December 16. On the 1st of January, he'd met the requirements for quarantine-free travel. On January 4, Djokovic announced he was travelling to Australia. He was detained in Melbourne when he arrived the next day.
Players, fans and staff at the Australian Open must be fully vaccinated unless there is a genuine reason why an exemption should be granted.
If that evidence is insufficient, and he'll be on the next plane home.
Czech player Renata Vorochova. She arrived last month and played a warm-up tournament before her visa was cancelled.
We are not angry with the people of Australia. We are actually angry with their politicians.
They are keeping him as a prisoner. It's just not fair. It's not human.
People have been upset about the fact that Novak has come in because of his statements over the past couple of years around vaccination.
He knew the conditions since a lot of months ago.
So whether someone wants to get a vaccine or not, that's completely up to them.
Me that wasn't vaccinated, I wouldn't be getting an exemption.
There should be no special rules for Novak Djokovic at all.